Ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. Real Late Hot 97. My name's Peter Rosenberg, and I'm excited. I got a call a couple weeks ago being like, hey, you want Joyner Lucas to come by Real Late? And I said, absolutely, because we never got to do this your first time around, the first few times around. So I'm happy to have you, man.
Well, I appreciate it. I did the
morning show.
The morning show, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different vibe, though. It's a different, because you were in the middle of your first real big moment. And so everyone was talking about you, and you came up into the morning show, and we had a great conversation. But, I like, especially with like lyricists, to sort of start from the beginning and get an idea of who you are besides the guy who's in that moment. Mm-hmm. So first of all, how are you doing right now? How is life for Joyner Lucas right now?
Honestly, life couldn't be better for me right now. Everything's good. My son good, my family good.
How old is your son?
He'll be 3 in February.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, he good, family good. Yeah, my mom's retired. Everything good. I can't complain.
Now, when you say mom retired, does that imply that she was able to comfortably retire because you're in a situation that's comfortable?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
How good does that feel?
It's amazing. She's been retired for like 2 years now. So, it feels amazing.
So at what point did you start take us through the order of let's go backwards. When did you start making like legitimate money where you go, wow, this is going to be what I do. I'm good. I can make the music I want to make and be well-to-do as a result of it?
It was a steady climb. It wasn't just all at one time. It was a steady climb. I say probably from the point of right around the time where I signed to Atlantic. Around then, when I started going on tour and stuff like that. And then it was immediately the first thing that I did was retire my mom. Even though I didn't even know how the income was gonna be.
And what was your mom doing at the time?
She was a nurse's aide or something like that. She worked at like a nursing home.
And she was worn out. She'd had enough.
Yeah, she was always like complaining about standing up all day. And she worked, she's almost 50, you know what I mean? So like, it was like priority for me. The first thing that I had to do was do that. And I didn't know that once I signed my deal, I didn't know what was going to happen. It was like, I didn't know how the money would be split. I didn't know how it was going to be broken down. I didn't even know how, I didn't know after I signed, how I was going to make money. I thought it was just you sign to a label, you get this huge lump sum, and then you're good. And then once I signed, I realized it didn't really work like that.
No, and if you don't come with something, that money's going to go away.
So I had a lot of pressure because I had retired my mom, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I reached a situation where I'm like, damn, like, the way that the money comes is different. It's not like just, it comes from different directions. It comes from tour. You have to learn tour. You have to learn, the merch. You have to learn how to make money. Because you think once you sign to a label, you're like, that's it.
That's it. Well, and I'm guessing up until that, in your first several years, your goal is to make good music,
yes,
create a buzz, get people talking, have people want your music. It's not, and maybe if you're lucky, sell some stuff, but it's not like you have a full plan of how making real money works. Because once you start making money, you also have to spend money.
Yes.
So it becomes a real, it's totally different.
So what's interesting is that on my first tour, I went on the Savageville tour with Hobson, right? And I lost money. So when I had signed, right, I went on that tour right when I had signed. And a lot of the money that I had got from my advance, I had to give it up because I had went on that tour and I lost a lot of money just going on that tour.
Moving people around.
Well, yeah, because I had a tour bus, I had, the people with me, you know what I mean? I had, my lighting. Actually, no, I didn't have lighting at the time, but I had my DJ, I had security. So there was a lot of people on payroll, And
you're paying out of pocket for a lot of that.
Right. All of it. But there was no label support at that time. It was all out of pocket. So it was, my guarantees at that time was really nothing. It was, a couple $100 a show. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah. So, at the end of the day, we lost a lot of money. But what we was doing is we was making different things happen. You know, we had Bel Air come through. I don't know, was Bel Air at that time, or was it the it was Candy Pens. Candy Pens came through, you know, a lot of different sponsors and
right,
stuff. Right,
a little bit here, a little there.
I don't know how me and my manager did it, but we ended up raising some money. And, you know, apart from that, you know, I had to come out of pocket from the money that I had just got from the label. And I had to spend that, you know. So again, you got my advance, but then I had so many different responsibilities. I had my mom, and then I had this tour that I had to come out of my pocket, a lot of money to pay for what was spent, you know. That bus is expensive, the gas, you know what I'm saying? Like the amount per day, it wasn't even, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to account for that.
Yeah, it was.
And then how do you view the I'm Not Racist experience? Now, because the obvious thing would be like, well, it was the first real explosion that happened where everyone's like, you know, you became mainstream famous. Everyone knew who you were.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was sometimes people get frustrated with that thing that makes them, because then that's all people want to talk about is that thing. So when you look back on I'm Not Racist, the video and the moment and what it did for you, what are your feelings on it?
I feel like I've been trying to kick the door in, being where I'm from, New England. There's really no artist that really pop off from New England, right? You don't really hear about an artist really popping off, like having success, like mainstream success in New England. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talented artists in New England, but there's really no blueprint, no plan, or nothing to follow where it was like no doors have ever been open there, you know? So it's always been super tough for everybody, including me. So for years, I've created content to try to learn the systems, try to learn social media, try to figure out what I was going to do in order to reach more people. And, you know, when I finally figured it out and I started shooting viral videos and I started creating content that people were afraid to talk about, and I noticed it was working for me. And I noticed that I was reaching millions and millions of people via Facebook. And that eventually translated into YouTube. And I noticed that my awareness started going up, and it was the door, I was kicking it, you know. Every single viral storytelling video I dropped, it was kicking the door, but the door never completely just disappeared. It was still a constant battle of trying to kick this door and kick the door. And even though I knew that, you know, the celebrities knew my name, and I knew that I knew people knew my name, and I knew people were aware, I still wasn't getting the respect. So I had to keep kicking and kicking. And when I created I'm Not Racist, I think that the door completely disappeared. That was the first time that I seen the door completely just disappear, and I can see through the other side. I seen mainstream through the other side. I seen all the celebrities that I grew up watching and loving on the other side, inviting me in, you know what I mean? And that really, really gave me some perspective and changed my life, because I built a lot of great friendships and relationships with those people, mm-hmm. you know, and I've been able to create records with those people. And that is, yeah, I'm Not Racist did that.
And are you able to hold on to and appreciate that feeling? Because one thing that I've noticed with myself and artists is that, you know, when you're a performer of any sort, you're in a business that is there's a lot of it that's about ego.
Right.
And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's inherently selfish, because I'm sure there are people who are better than me who are not inherently selfish. Right. But there is something that can be inherently selfish about it. And you spend a lot of time wanting things, and then when those things come, mm-hmm. it can be good for a while, and then you're like, you need the next thing.
Right.
Have you found yourself feeling still pretty like satisfied that moment happened, and being able to just enjoy it and then figure out the next thing?
Yeah, well, because I know that was bare minimum compared to what I got coming next, right? I know that I'm Not Racist was perfect timing, and I know that it I knew exactly what I did. It was very calculated on my behalf, and I knew that it would do what it did. I knew it. The moment that I came up with the idea,
You were like, this will
I
resonate.
knew that this is going to resonate immediately, and that's exactly what happened. But that's not the end all be all. You know what I mean?
What is the thing you really that you aspire towards? You've been accepted now. You're a known commodity. You're not only just known because you have a hit. You're known as a great MC. People know you can rap. So what is it that you want to do?
I think I'm done proving that I can rap.
Yes.
I think I've spent a lot of time trying to prove that I can rap, and I've now reached a place where I'm completely comfortable with not doing that anymore. Not completely, but just, I mean, like moving more into a different sound, or moving more into a evolutionized Joyner Lucas. You know what I mean? Those records wouldn't have resonated if I would have released them pre I'm Not Racist. So I kind of had to use what I could to get to where I needed to go in order to now release a different type of Joyner that would reach more people. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, on ADHD, which is the name of this upcoming project, it's a lot more, I would say, mainstream Joyner, but at the same time, it's a different feel for me. Pause. And I feel like this is a I've been waiting for the moment where I can release this type of music and be comfortable with it. I wouldn't have been comfortable releasing this pre I'm Not Racist, you know?
Talk to me about Eminem. Your level of admiring him, getting to meet him. Mm-hmm. Take me through it.
So the Slim Shady LP, that was my first album I ever bought. I was 10, I believe. I didn't buy it. I think my uncle gave it to me or something like that. It was a tape. And, man, I studied that tape. And I knew, that he was my favorite, but I knew he was going to remain my favorite when I just studied his cadences, his wordplay. I was just so amazed at how he made things rhyme that wasn't even supposed to rhyme. Even at that age, I'm like, wow. I completely missed out on my entire, childhood as far as, kids are into cartoons and, superheroes and Marvel and all that stuff. I'm not up to game on all that stuff because I spent my entire childhood writing music and listening to music and, and Eminem was the guy, always. As of, again, pre I'm Not Racist, he's dropped my name a lot in interviews. I have a really good relationship with Royce the 5'9", who is like a bro to me. Me and Royce have never done a record,
Just homies.
It's just homies, and I grew up listening to Royce too. But I don't want to push that on anybody, and I don't want it to be about that. For me, it's building solid relationships, and brotherhood is important. And, when Eminem had dropped my names a few times in some interviews, to me, I was just like, wow, even that was a big moment.
I mean, that's crazy. That must have been crazy.
Yeah, because he called me as his favorite up and coming artist, and I was like, wow, I've never heard him call.
I don't know if I've heard him call anybody.
So I'm just like, wow, out of every single person in the entire world, he would be the person that I would have wanted to do that, And I've been frustrated my whole come up because I'm like, bro, I know the Kendricks and the Coles and the Drakes I know they know who I am. I know, I always just felt frustrated that I was never acknowledged by them. You know what I mean? Because I looked up to them as well, Mm-hmm. But then I started realizing that they don't have to acknowledge me. I stopped feeling like they had to. It was like, I get it, you know what I mean? But if there would be, I thought Eminem was too far-fetched. Yo, this guy would never mention me, So when he mentioned me, it was like, wow, this is crazy. I had some records. I sent him to Royce. I said, I know this is kind of far-fetched, but I feel like Marshall would get on. He was like, it's actually not far-fetched. He's actually a huge fan. Send him. I sent some. He heard them. He sent some. I heard him. I started writing. He started writing, and we got some joints.
So there's multiple joints.
Yeah.
Not just what we've heard. There's
there's another one coming out.
Wow.
This is more into this is the next record that I released with Marshall is going to be, it's a storytelling record. And I promise you nobody has heard him rap like this since Stan. Since he's created the Stan record, you've never heard him rap like this, ever. This is like vintage Stan storytelling, like his best. You know what I mean? Like,
what I love about that is like a lot of people idolize Eminem, obviously, but not everybody fits in where you can like directly see the lineage between them and the artist that loves them. But like in the case of you, you can see Marshall's influence in you, like stylistically. You are a descendant of him. A
descendant, right?
Not just of him. You have other people too.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see that you're related to him.
The influence, right?
Yeah. And that's not always true because everyone will say, I love Hove, but you might not see any connection between that.
What's interesting about that is that as much as you can see that, right? When I had first met him and had a conversation with him, he asked me questions like, yo, how did you your cadence on such and such song? Like, how did you change your flow like that? Or how did you do? And he's asking me these questions, and I'm like, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're
the god of rap.
Yeah, like, yo, that storytelling record, like, what made you, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, hearing him say that to me is like, bro, I'm looking at him like, what you talking about? Like, you create, you know, exactly what you just said. I'm a descendant, you know, of him. So that was dope, you know.
And it also shows like how much of a real student of it all he is.
Yeah, he really is a student.
He cares. Like, he actually wants to keep getting better.
Yeah, he does care, and he is gonna get better. And he's I don't know how much better he can get. You know
so what is the plan over the next several months for Joyner Lucas?
My plan is a little bit different. So the way that I want to release this project isn't just, let me just drop a project. Like, I don't want to just drop a record that has like 9 songs on it and that's it. Because I put my blood, sweat, and tears into every record. And I want every record to have its own light. So I'm going to drip feed almost all the records. The same way I Love is its own standalone. Every record from the project, I want to kind of drip feed like that. So that
and let it have its
own moment. You know what I mean? Instead of just dropping a full body of work like that. And then just having records go under the radar and different things. So it's like I really want this to be just have all the light shed on it as much as possible.
And then at some point when you drop a project, the project will be a new body of work?
Yeah, so when I drop the album, because this is the ADHD is more of a project. When I drop the album, then I plan on doing it, you know, in the way that everybody else does it, you know. But for this ADHD, I wanted to do it a little bit different.
And do you have a timeline for when all the ADHD music would be out?
I'm just gauging it, you know what I mean?
Letting each one play out?
Yeah, I'm letting each one play out. I'm giving each one its own light, yeah.
You talked about people recognizing you and giving you credit, and I certainly understand that sentiment and wanting people to appreciate like what you do and your contribution. Even though I think at some point everyone has to get there on their own schedule, you may figure out like it's a cool bonus,
right?
But it's not. You're valid not because of that. 100%. You're valid because you're valid.
Yeah.
But that's easier said than done.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit here and act like that's easy. Don't worry about it. But were there any bonus people you've heard from that you were surprised that you never thought about them? You never were like, I hope so and so mentions me, but then they did.
Well, I don't know, because I mean at this point I've been mentioned by a lot. I mean at this point it's just there, right? Like, I mean. I get a follow on IG from a new person that I grew up listening to every day. You know what I mean? And then I build relationships with these people. You know, Fabulous, Ty Dolla $ign, like all these people. Like, these are really good friends of mine. You know, there's one thing that I can say. I could say that my mentality used to be, like I told you, it used to be, damn, why these people not mentioned? Like, why are they acting like they can't see me? Like, why are they acting like pretending like they don't know who I am? Like, no. And I think that stems from me being such huge fans of these people, right? And I would tweet about them, and I would say I would be excited for the next body of work, and I would be genuinely fans. And if I thought somebody was dope, I would say it, you know? But one thing that I had learned about myself is that that's probably like my weakest flaw, is that and not just regarding this, but in life, is that I feel like my biggest weakness and my biggest flaw is being upset when people don't react or do things the way that I would normally do it. And I recognize that as being like my big flaw. Like, you
do not decide how other people operate.
I understand that.
Yeah,
and I think that's always been frustrating for me, because I'm like, yo, I would have done this. So just going off of those emotions and going off of that mindset of this is something that I would do, I'm expecting everybody else to do it the same way, and when they don't, I get super frustrated, because I'm like, yo, why aren't
they adhering to the life code that I have that maybe they don't have?
100%. So when I recognize that, I realized that was probably my biggest weakness, and now I don't do that anymore.
Good for you.
Now I understand that everybody, operates, different under their own circumstances for whatever reason that they operate, So no,
that's great growth. That's important.
Pause, yeah.
Oh yeah, super pause.
Yeah.
You still enjoy the pause game.
I do. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's just funny. It's funny to me.
I know. There have been times in my life when I've like totally progressed past it, but still find it stupidly funny.
It's hilarious. I even have like I have a gay friend who's he's like a bro to me, right? And I still play the pause game.
Yeah, no, I think
can't change. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Like,
I don't think I actually have very mixed feelings on whether or not pause is offensive, because I think it's really just about sexual innuendo.
Offensive. It's funny.
It's just about sexual. Any sort of ridiculous, because some people say pause, and then with women they'll say that's what she said.
I say that too. I pause women too.
It falls. Listen, it's been real nice getting to catch up, man. And we're gonna play the I Love record and look for the next one. But the door's always open here, man. When you want to come by and just talk about what's going on,
appreciate it, man.
I think you're one of the real interesting, thoughtful lyricists and artists that we have today. So I'm glad you made some time to come by.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Joyner Lucas, ladies and gentlemen, Real 8 Hot 97.
Right.